Hello, my name is Wayne Wyatt.
All right, how you doing? My name is Ronnie.
Ronnie, how you doing, Ronnie?
You can call me Ron.
Ron, good. I take notes on every session, Ron, if you don't mind, while we're talking. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Great. Okay, Ron, what brings you in to see me today?
Well, actually, I'm having problems with alcohol, and it's causing problems in my family life, my home life, and I just wanted to come and possibly talk to you and see if I can get some kind of help.
Sure, I'll be glad to help you any way I can. What kind of problems is it causing?
My wife doesn't like me drinking. She says that I get mean, I'm very easily agitated, and I'm not very warm or comfortable around my children when I drink.
I see. Are you employed?
No, full-time student.
Full-time student. Has the drinking caused any problems with school?
No.
That's great. I'm going to use a method called cognitive behavioral therapy, Ron. And what that is cognitive means what you're thinking, what's in your mind, and of course behavior is how you act.
Exactly.
So cognitive behavioral therapy, it's just a way for us to talk and make you cognizant of your behavior, what might be causing it, and how we can help you. Okay, and I think that we can get through this.
Okay.
Okay, we can definitely make it better. Tell me, Ron, what's a typical day like for you in your life?
A typical day would involve me getting up probably around like 7 or 8, letting my dog out, feeding my bearded dragon, making me a cup of coffee, possibly taking my dog out, lounging around till it's time for me to go to school. When I get out of class, I normally unwind with, a beer. I normally stay up till about 11:30, 12, go to sleep, and that's usually pretty much how it is. On the days I have class, I go to class.
Good. What's a typical week like, and including the weekend for you?
The typical week is just I'm usually at home. I don't really go anywhere. So on the day that I don't have class, I'm just lounging around the house, doing chores around the house, and just lounging. Now that I think about it, I really don't do too much anything.
How's your drinking? You said, how's it affecting your friends, other family members, your children, your wife?
I'm somewhat of a recluse. I don't really frequent my family. I speak to them on the phone, via online, the internet, but I don't really do a lot of visiting. What was the question again?
Well, I was wondering how your drinking, how does it affect negative? How does it negatively affect other members of your family? You say your wife says you become angry.
Right.
Do you do that with other family members as well? When you say when you've had an intimate drink? Or?
No, I normally don't drink outside my home.
Okay.
So.
And so you don't get a lot of company or
Right.
family and stuff.
Right.
They're not aware of your
Exactly.
drinking problem. Okay. Have you tried anything in the past? Well, first let me ask you this: how long has this been going on?
It's been going on for, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months. Okay. Well, it's good that you recognize that early.
Yeah, I stopped and picked up smoking cigarettes more. Now that I've been drinking, I've kind of like decreased my cigarettes, and I drink more now. She doesn't exactly see eye to eye. We don't exactly see eye to eye on the consumption of alcohol, but you know, I needed to deal with the stressors of life. You know, I've got anxiety issues and depression, and so I just drink.
Have you said you got anxiety issues and depression. Have you tried anything since you yourself discovered that it was a problem and it's affecting, you know, your marriage negatively? Have you tried anything to cut back on the drinking, or?
No.
Haven't tried anything at all?
No.
Okay. Are you on medications?
Yes, I take a few pills for depression, anxiety, and I've got some bipolar medicine that I take. I don't take it daily because sometimes I forget to take it, or sometimes I take it and I can't remember whether or not I've taken it or not. So I sometimes I go without taking it to avoid taking it twice the same day.
You should be careful taking that mixed up with alcohol.
Yeah.
And I usually tell clients that come in here for help at the beginning, before we even talk, I usually tell them and about a confidentiality. Everything that we talk about is confidential. I can't disclose that information to anyone unless, Ron, you would come in here and tell me that you were thinking about killing yourself or killing somebody else, something like that.
Right.
Of course, I'd have to take that to the proper authorities,
Okay.
but everything we speak of is confidential. And I just knew that when you sit down, I thought to myself, this is a guy I can really help, and
Right.
it kind of slipped my mind, but I need to let you know that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No problem. Excuse me. Let me ask you this might be an odd question, but Ron, say that you went to sleep one night and a miracle happened, and you woke up the next day, but you didn't know this miracle had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what would be that miracle? What would your day be like? Your life be like? What would that miracle be for you?
I would get up and I would feel refreshed. I wouldn't have a hangover, dry mouth, all those nasty things that come along with a night of drinking. I wouldn't wake up irritable. And I definitely wouldn't drink. That would be the miracle. And I would feel a whole lot healthier.
Really? And that would be the miracle, right?
Yeah.
Then, okay. Has there been a time recently in the past that you can think of that you didn't drink and things were going great for you, things were working well?
Yes.
And when was that? Tell me what happened that...
What happened was, my wife and I had went out to dinner, and we came in and we decided to watch a movie, spend some quality time together, and we did that, and went to sleep and woke up the next morning, and everything was fine.
That's great.
Yeah.
What made you decide that night not to drink?
We actually had plans.
And those plans included you not consuming any alcohol?
Exactly.
Maybe?
Exactly.
Okay. Is there any other time that's happened?
Not any time that comes to mind.
Okay. So when you made plans with your wife that evening, it was a special night for you two.
Right, exactly.
And you made a verbal agreement to her
Right.
that you wouldn't do that.
Right. State night.
date night, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Okay, I'm just thinking here, and do you think maybe if you could do that more often, maybe once a week with your wife, and make a verbal agreement with her, and you have a special evening together where you wouldn't consume any alcohol?
Yeah, I think I think that's possible.
Good.
Yeah, I believe that's possible.
I understand you, when you came in here to see me, you knew that you needed help, and with the drinking, and what you could do to rectify that. And I want to let you know it's okay to feel the way you do. It's just human nature, you know, and you obviously love your wife, and you don't want to be that way anymore. And it's a good thing that you came in here when you did. I mean, you know, a lot of people go for years and, you know, eats their liver up and just destroys their life, and they end up losing everything that they've had or ever worked for. When you're drinking, the night that you're drinking, and you change your attitude, on a scale of 1 to 10, tell me how bad does your temper get?
Wow. I would say probably about 8.5, 9. Throwing stuff, breaking stuff, extremely loud, just boisterous, obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have to say 8.5, 9.
Let's see.
No physical violence, though.
Well, that was my next question. Do you ever become physically violent?
No, not towards my wife, no.
Good.
Or the children.
That's great. That's great. Have you ever thought about maybe some group therapy or Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, going to an AA meeting and just listening for the first night if you wanted to? You don't even have to say anything. You ever thought about that?
I've thought about it. It just, I just have so much stuff going on right now that I really can't commit myself to any AA or NA meetings right now. I do see me going sometime here in the near future.
Okay. Well, good. I mean, because I definitely think that's something that could work to your benefit, that could help you.
Okay.
And how would you feel about, I definitely want you to come back to see me. I think we can work through this, and we can set some short-term goals that would definitely work in your favor, and work on your temper and your drinking.
Okay.
See if we can't cut it down somewhat and make things better for you. How would you feel about keeping a journal on? And like you were telling me, when you wake up every morning, you know, the hangover effect, the dry mouth, and you know, just the sour stomach and all that.
Exactly.
How would you feel about every morning when you wake up, just briefly writing down how you feel at that time?
I think that's a good idea. That's something I would definitely consider doing.
Good, good. And bring it in here and let me
Right.
see on a weekly basis how you feel every morning, and we can go through that one day at a time
Okay.
and talk about that.
All right.
When you drink your first beer of the night, what are you thinking just prior to that?
I suppose I should think, before I drink, I should think about the consequences and repercussions of me taking that drink. However, I don't, you know what they say hindsight's 20/20. I don't really think about it until after the damage is done. However, when I'm drinking, I just think that I need it, and I'm gonna drink it, and so I do.
You just think that you need it and you drink it. You don't think about maybe the taste or that it may calm you down or whatever. You just need
Well,
it.
yeah, I mean, I enjoy drinking beer. I've cut out hard liquor in its entirety. So I mean, I just drink beer. My wife says that I'm irritable and grumpy when I drink. The truth of the matter is that I'm actually a bitter person. And I guess it has to do with my 20+ years of substance abuse problems. However, I've been clean and sober for almost 6 years now. And I think that I'm kind of bitter towards myself because I wasted so much time and energy in chasing a high with crack cocaine that now that I'm living sober, I haven't forgiven myself for bridges that were burned or friendships that were lost or relationships that were lost through the course of my drug abuse, and I think that's what makes me bitter now. So I don't really think that it's the alcohol. I believe that it might amplify it to some degree, but I think that I'm just a bitter person as a result of that.
Do you think are you a bitter person even when you don't drink?
Yes.
And do you reflect that to other people? Do you think other people see you as being bitter?
I don't know. That's a good question. I've never really thought about that.
Well, like the night, go back to the night that you and your wife had made an agreement that you wouldn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
Were you bitter that night?
No.
You were bitter that night?
No.
You ever thought about why that night went so well?
Well, I think that it went so well because it was something that we hadn't done for quite some time. It was a change of pace. However, I'm inclined to believe that if it was something that we did often, that the irritability would soon surface because that's just part of who I am.
And
For now.
For now. But that irritability you're saying comes from 20+ years of substance abuse, even though you've been clean for 6
Right.
years. It was 20 years prior to that.
Exactly.
And what kind of substances were you using then?
I've used crack cocaine, and I would drink periodically, but for the most part, it was crack cocaine. You know, I would lace my cigarettes with it and smoke my cigarettes.
Yeah, it's definitely an evil drug, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Straight
Yes,
from
it is.
Satan himself.
Yes.
Was it those 20 years, Ron, that you did that? Did you lose anything? Did you, family members, property during that 20 years?
I lost property. I lost my mom. My dad passed away. I lost several uncles and aunts through the course of my substance abuse problem. I lost quite a few jobs. As a matter of fact, I sought after jobs in order just to feed my addiction, and I found myself bouncing from job to job as a result of not being able to get up and not being able to function the next morning, or still chasing the drug the next day, and totally just blowing off my obligation and responsibilities to my job.
Sure. So at the end of that 20 years, Ron, you say that you got clean and sober. What made you cognizant of the fact that you needed to get clean and sober? You needed to get away from that lifestyle.
Well, my mother had died of cancer,
I'm sorry.
and I fed my drug addiction through the whole course of her dealing with her death. My mom was my best friend, and instead of actually being there for her in every way I possibly could, I looked for ways to avoid dealing with the situation and escape reality by constantly using drugs. I have, my wife told me that I have a way of avoiding issues, and I think, well, I know that I used crack cocaine as a way of having not to deal with the reality of losing my mom. I burned bridges with family members, lying in order to gain money to support my habit. I've stolen from people in my family, just done unsavory things in order to supply my drug addiction. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I'm very sorry for your losses. Was it your mother's passing that opened your eyes finally, that day after the 20 years, that day that told you, man, I got to do something to change my life. I've got to stop. What was there one particular event that just,
Well,
an aha moment?
Well, on the day of my mother's funeral, one of a close friend of the family had came over and to offer her condolences, and we've been on each other since we were toddlers. We were actually since we were in diapers, and I wanted a chance to talk to her privately as far as what I was going through and what I was feeling, and for spiritual insight. We exchanged numbers, and we conversed, about my problems and my issues, and one thing led to another, and we started seeing each other, and I knew that this would be an opportunity for me to turn my life around, and I think she is now my wife. She kind of helped me to overcome my drug addiction. I went through a program at VA Hospital, a SATS program, and graduated from SATS. And as a matter of fact, the day I was given my certificate, I told them that I wasn't really ready to be released. And I asked them, well, I actually had to beg them for 30 more days because I wasn't quite ready. I was afraid to face reality, life without substances. So I asked them for an extension, and they gave me 30 more days. And after the 30 days was over, they told me that I was a baby bird that had grown wings and feathers, and that it was time for me to leave the nest, and that I pretty much was a big boy time for me to face life head on, you know what I'm saying, without the use of drugs. So, to answer your question, my wife, I felt that we could have a life together, and that I wanted that life without the use of drugs. So that is really what drove me to not use drugs anymore. And I just felt that like God had given me a second chance after not being there for my mom. So I wanted to, I'd done it for 20 years plus with the crack cocaine thing. So I wanted to try to do it, see if I could do it 20 plus years without.
That's great. Well, I hope you do more than that without it. So you were, for 6 years after you graduated from this program, you mentioned VA hospital, so you're a veteran?
Yes.
And what branch did you serve?
Marine Corps.
Oh, great. I'm a Marine too.
All right.
So,
Right.
Hoorah. And I'm familiar with the program out there actually at VA, the SATS program, and it's a real good program.
Yes.
Do you know that they have meetings out there too for alumni?
Yeah, I was aware of that. I had problems with transportation. My transmission went out in my van, and my wife, she is volunteered at the Marion County Jail. She's a chaplain, and she works in the reentry at the Marion County Jail. She has a very demanding schedule, and with me in school and trying to balance our hours, try to spend some time together, I kind of lost sight of going to the alumni meetings, but it's definitely something that I will look into.
You know, substance abuse and veterans kind of go hand to hand, and those meetings out there, it's more about the camaraderie, because, you know, we know what we all went through, what we've experienced, and a lot of us dealing with that, as well as post-traumatic stress disorder.
Exactly.
And those meetings out there are so helpful to veterans who are experiencing substance abuse problems, and
Right.
it's a fantastic program. As far as transportation, now, Ron, are you still having problems with that, or?
No.
Okay.
Got the van fixed, and yeah, I wanted to point out that I also suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. I spent a year in Iraq in 90, 91, and I still have reoccurring visions, flashbacks of that, and I think that tends to make me a little irritable.
Sure.
Too, as well. I'm not really able to articulate what I'm experiencing with my wife. She's not a veteran. She really can't relate to what I'm going through. So, yeah.
You know, some of the side effects, you mentioned yourself, your nightmares,
Right.
sleeping problems,
Right.
irritability
Right.
is a big one with PTSD. And, you know, just mix that with alcohol, that's like throwing kerosene on the fire.
Right.
I definitely understand. You know, I'm sorry for your losses, and I definitely understand what you're going through and how you're feeling. I think that the journaling, keeping the journaling idea we talked about, I think that's a great idea. And I think maybe, Ron, something that, because I use this technique myself, it's a relaxation technique. And, you know, it's when you decide to employ it, before you start to lose your temper, even before you start drinking, you know, you can find what works for you as far as what relaxes you. I'll start at my feet and just tense them up, and I'll just work it all the way up till I get to my neck and then my face, and it seems to relax me. And there's all kinds of breathing techniques that you can use, and of course, everybody knows about counting to 10.
Right.
Stop,
Right.
count to 10. I think some short-term goals, excuse me, some short-term goals as far as keeping the journal and some relaxation techniques. We just need to show you, and we'll do this together, we need to show you when to be aware, cognizant of when you want to take a drink, and maybe work away from that. You told me that yourself that you stopped drinking hard liquor.
Right.
And, well, that can turn somebody evil too.
Yes.
They can make them mean real quick. When, by the way, when did you stop drinking hard liquor?
Well, I had stopped drinking hard liquor, I would say probably about a year or so ago. Now it just smelling it makes me sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Makes my stomach turn when I think about drinking hard liquor. It's just, I don't know. I spoke to God and asked God to just take the taste of hard liquor out of my mouth or the desire to drink it, and He did.
Sounds like you did.
Yeah.
If you're smelling it, it's making you sick to smell it. Yeah. Well, good. Maybe we can make you cognizant of beer smelling that way.
Yeah.
When you, okay, so you went the 20 years of abusing crack cocaine, and you lost your mother to cancer, and then you met this great girl, or you knew her, you grew up with her, and she comes over to your house that day, and you opened your eyes, and is she a good support system for
Yes.
you now? Great. Do you have any other?
I have my sisters. I lost one sister 2 years ago. She was a support system. She used to call me all the time and check on me. But I've got 4 sisters now, and one of my sisters I talk to more regularly than the other 3. But for the most part, my wife and my church family are my main support systems.
Great, so you go to church
Right.
as well.
Right.
Yeah, a pastor is always somebody great to talk to as well. So you open your eyes, and for 6 years you were clean and sober. That day that you weren't clean and sober anymore, do you remember that day? That very first day that you decided to abuse, not necessarily abuse, but take a substance, use a substance, whether it was a pill, a beer, or whatever, that you started again. Do you remember that first day?
No, because I never really stopped. Well, let me see. It's kind of hard to say. I was very sad I never really stopped drinking, even when I was smoking crack. I would drink periodically, but my main source of entertainment was crack cocaine. I drank periodically.
You drink sociably then?
Yeah, I drank sociably.
Throughout, okay.
I never really thought about compromising my sobriety with beer, because I never really felt that I had a problem with drinking beer. So it's kind of hard for me because my sobriety and beer, they, in my mind, don't correlate. I associate crystal meth, crack cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, Vicodin, Xanax, and anything of that nature is a compromise to my sobriety.
Mhm.
Because I never really had a problem with alcohol per se. So you having mentioned that kind of like brings a new perspective on things I never really thought of here as compromising my sobriety up until now.
Okay. Well, then in the past 6 months, has it gotten progressively worse, or have you noticed it getting worse? When did you know yourself that that was starting to become a problem, that was becoming a problem?
Well, I didn't really identify it as being a problem until my wife had started complaining about it. She had mentioned that I was becoming disagreeable, hostile. After she brought it to my attention, I started seeing it more. It became more clear. I have cut back on my drinking to some degree. It was a 6-pack or more a night, and now it's maybe a quart of beer or two.
Okay, are you scaling back?
Scaling back, exactly.
When did you start doing that?
This has been going on for maybe 2 months now.
Are you wanting to stop the beer altogether?
I don't know if I really want to stop altogether. If I feel like it's becoming more of a problem, or my consumption becomes more amplified, then I will have to take actions as far as possibly going back into sets. But right now, it's a coping mechanism for me right now.
I'm just wondering, excuse me, if maybe when you drink, if it mixing with the medicine that you take, maybe that might be what's making you irritable. Was there a time when you drank beer that you weren't on the psychotropic drugs? Was there a time that you drank beer that you were fine?
Well, actually, most of the time I drink, I don't, now I don't take them. When I know when I drink, I won't take them.
Do you still become irritable on those nights?
Not so much. Not so much.
Okay. Well, to summarize everything that we've talked about today, for 20 years you were a substance abuser, and you lost a lot, including your mother, and I can tell that that's hurt you deeply. And you know, you met this beautiful lady, this angel. What I meant, I keep saying meant, that you knew, that grew into a relationship, and you got married, and you stayed clean. And then, well, as far as, you know, the street drugs and stuff was concerned, but you drink intermittently or socially, you drink beer. You stopped the hard liquor.
Right.
And in the last 6 months, you've noticed, and your wife's told you, that you've become very not agreeable with her and irritable when you
Right.
drink. And, okay. I'm very impressed, Ron, with the way that you presented your problems to me today and what we've talked about. And I agree with you when you say that you know it's a problem, and that within that you've caught it also in such a short time. That 6 month period. what I suggest to you now is do the things that you know will work. Like we talked about, when you make plans with your wife that night, you didn't drink, that was a great night. That was a
Right.
wonderful night. And then you mentioned also that you noticed that the nights that you do consume beer, that you don't take your psychotropic medicine, you're not as irritable as well. Those things seem to work for you, and I suggest that you continue doing that. I'd like you to come back and see me on once a week, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Would you like that?
Sure.
Would you do that? Great. I definitely think the journaling idea, I think is a good idea, and I'm glad that you're cool with that and want to do that just every morning when you wake up. Because whether you drink or not, just write down something in there every day about how you're feeling and bring that in with you once a week, and we'll go over that together.
Okay.
And one of the things I want to make a suggestion to you is maybe your wife could look into Al-Anon, and that's like AA, but it's for family members who don't drink, but are a family member, they're living with a family member that does, and it shows them, it tells them how they can cope with you and what you're going through, and it's also a good program. That's just a suggestion. I'm just throwing that out there as far as
Right.
she is concerned. I think that's good for today. How do you feel about?
I feel better.
You feel better?
Yeah.
That's great, Ron, because that's what I'm here for, is to help you, and I want you to know that I got your back and I'm here for you.
All right.
And we'll work through this and we'll get you better, and you'll have a nice life after that. Let's see what we can do.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
you take care, Ron.
All right.
Thanks for coming in. I'll
All
see
right.
you next week.
Okay,
Have a
thanks.
good day, buddy.
How long was that?